The Remake brown paper piece was really undertaken as a way of paying tribute to an artist who we lost quite suddenly a few years ago. It was quite a personal undertaking in that Katthy was a friend of mine, and we'd sort of had gone to art school together and followed each other's sort of practice over the decades and taken a very keen interest in what we were doing right through all our exhibitions and performances and things. From time to time we'd sort of lose touch over the years, but we'd always get together eventually and sort of discuss what we had done. And after she passed, it had stayed with me that I really never had a chance to mourn her loss, because she had died while I was overseas. And so it's been a couple of years, and the work was always, I always felt, was one of the most sort of resonant that I had seen of Kathy's work in its absolute simplicity. It was sort of broken down to really fundamentally simple material: brown paper, breath, cardboard. There was just these very things. In the course of my research, there have been other instances where artists have remade other artists' work. In particular, Marina Abramovic, who made 7 easy pieces, and in that work she remade works by Gina Pane, by Joseph Beuys, and through that remaking, there's something about inhabiting another artist's footsteps. So yeah, it was a really simple representation of an artist's work, a work which I hadn't seen. So it was kind of fascinating to be inside the work in a way, where I was visibly kind of in the same position as the artist. And it was curious that the work that Katthy had made, the original brown paper, was undertaken in Como while she was undertaking an advanced course in visual arts under Marina Abramovic, who was the visiting professor at the time. So there was this kind of nice sort of performative connection that I could sort of see through the work that I made and through the work Katthy made. And it was a piece of great joy. There was sense of melancholy, senses of sadness while I was actually making the work. It was a way of reactivating a sort of artist's spirit in a way. There was an understanding that I could get from inhabiting the work, where just this simple action of blowing up paper bags kind of create this breath containment in these sort of very simple material, and there was this kind of preciousness that each breath has, and if anything it's emblematic of what life is and its preciousness. I think that we're at that nexus where it's now being sort of, it's on the table, it's being discussed. My PhD is pretty much about this is what it's about. More so looking at visibility and how an artist is invisible in the creation of work. And in a way, Katthy was both visible and invisible, in that her work was being presented in a live way, though there was a proxy kind of creating the work, you know. So I think they're interesting positions. I'm very wary about saying that there's a pure authenticity to performance art that must be adhered to. I think we have to allow the flexibility to be kind of explored to see where and what we're able to achieve through performance. I'm still convinced that there's some room to remake works and to restage them, and it's surprised me how it's that the remake of Brown Paper struck such a emotional chord with me, because of the relationship I'd had with Katthy and the sadness that I had that I didn't mourn her at the time of her death. So it was kind of fascinating to sort of re-experience that aspect. And it would have looked quite funny. On the first night I was crying a fair bit for the first hour or so, and that's because there was just this really raw emotion where I was saying goodbye to a friend of mine, which I never felt that I had that opportunity.